Alright, we are going to make a pie crust for our chicken pot pie filling. So I have canned up some chicken pot pie filling, and that's what my kids want for supper tonight. So for the crust, you're going to start out with 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Add that to a bowl. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of just regular salt. And whisk it together. Now this recipe asks for you to put it in a food processor. I don't have one, so we're going to do everything by hand. Then it wants us to add chunks of our shortening, and it calls for 1 1/4 cup of shortening. I have it in the freezer because it asked for us to please chill it. For the water right there. So, ooh, did you see that? So I'm going to be adding this a little at a time. You're going to incorporate it in until the shortening is about the size of a pea. And I will bring you back when this is done because it's going to take a little while. Alright, so we have it added, and as you can see I've got a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. We'll clean that up. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding in our wet ingredients into our dry ingredients. So this is a new recipe for me. So I have, let's see what order we're going in. Okay, it wants us to add 1 beaten egg. This is the first pie crust recipe I've ever used that as for beaten egg. Now this is a brand new pie crust recipe. I've never tried it. I've had this recipe for over 20 years though. This is interesting. This is 2 teaspoons of white vinegar. It says it helps stop the gluten because I had to research it. Then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of ice water. And I like to go ahead and put the ice in there. That way I know it's cold enough. Don't worry, that won't go to waste. I'll add that to my water of the day. And it says to start mixing. And when it begins to pull away from the sides of the bowl, to cover it with saran wrap. And you may use more water if needed. Okay, so I had to add about 2.5 more tablespoons of flour, and then this was perfect. So what it wants you to do is go ahead and put a saran wrap on it and put it in the refrigerator until it's ready to use. Or you may freeze it if you would like to freeze it and save it for a later day. Alright, so it is time to roll out our dough. And unfortunately I didn't have a big enough circular pie plate for my chicken pot pie filling, so we're gonna go square, but that's okay. I'm gonna see if I can take half of this apart, and you're gonna start with a floured surface. I've got to flour my rolling pin because it will stick. If you have parchment paper, you may lay down a piece of parchment paper, put the little dough ball in the middle, and place another piece of parchment paper over top of that. And you may do that. You know what? Let's give that a shot. See if I have. Okay, so I did just that. I didn't think I had any parchment paper, so I'm going to flatten it down. Oh, it wants to roll up on me. Crazy thing. And let's see. Let's continue rolling it to make it flat. Okay, since this is a square dish, I'm going to have to do what we call like patchwork. I'm going to have to patch it together. Sorry, that's my dryer. Was not expecting it to get done right now. Alright, then we're going to, it feels a little thick. I've never been good with pie crust, so I am no expert on this. So let me try and move like some of these off. Like that is really thick. I'm going to put it in our plate, or dish, sorry. And then we're gonna take the leftover pieces and start patching it up. So we have our little patchwork done. It looks pretty good. So I'm gonna poke holes in it so it doesn't puff up. I forgot to do that one time with pie pastry, even though I filled it. I actually filled it with chicken pot pie filling and it puffed up on me. Alright, so I've got my filling in there, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to pie crust decoration. I can't decorate worth the hill of beans. My heart's in it, but I don't have the talent. So I rolled this one out and I cut it with a pizza cutter, and it made really good cuts. And now I'm trying to get it off of my paper here. Let me try and get this off. Alright, so this is what it looks like before I put it in the oven. I did cut in some little vent areas. Guys, I am not good with pie crust at all, so we'll see how it looks. And it did not give any instructions on what temperature to bake it at and for how long. So we'll just start with the magic number 350, and I'll start checking it around the 10-minute mark. It spent about 20 minutes in the oven at 350, and I realized that wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to cook. So 425 just to finish it off, and it's not the prettiest, but it smells good. Here's an update. We just tasted the crust, and none of the vinegar flavor come through at all. All we taste is a really nice, silky, smooth crust. And if you make it, I hope yours turns out prettier than mine. Show me a picture. Alright, so here's the recipe. I don't remember who gave it to me. It was given to me over 20 years ago when I worked at Stanley Furniture. And it doesn't even list an author on here. But I thought you guys might want to see it.